Hi, guys, and welcome to the Horror Room. So, this week I thought we would take a look at something a little more sensitive. Um, Usually in horror movies, we got the slashers and, ghosts and monsters and stuff. Just crazy violence, the stuff we love. But occasionally a movie will come along and make you think, make you feel for that character. So I thought this week, let's take a break from all the craziness and let's talk about five of my favorite sympathetic characters from horror movies. Now, there are probably a ton other ones you could go over. You could make arguments for, Jason being a sympathetic character because, he just drowned in a lake, but he comes back as a vengeful spirit. And, the people on my list, they're not innocent. But they're just good characters, and they make you really feel and kind of try and root for them. And that's really what I wanted to get to, because I know not a lot of people discuss these types of characters in movies. It's always like, oh, Art the Clown, he's so crazy, or Michael Myers, he's the Shape, he's so evil, the embodiment of evil. But people never talk about, oh, this character made me like really feel bad, really want to root for them. And that's what I kind of wanted to get into today. So we're going to do five of them. I'm probably missing a ton of different other ones. So if you know of any other examples of sympathetic horror characters, leave them down below. Give me the reasons why you think they're sympathetic. First off, we're going to start with the most obvious, the classic one of all time, and that's Frankenstein's monster from Frankenstein. Now, this guy didn't ask to be brought back to life, especially since it's a amalgamation of a bunch of different body parts. But throughout the film, after Frankenstein's monster comes to life, you see little glimpses of humanity. The biggest one that I can think of is like he sees the little girl playing and she's throwing petals into the pond, and then he picks her up, throws her in there. He's not doing it out of, malicious intent. He's doing it because he thinks, oh, this is what people do for fun. You see a little more of his sympathetic and nicer side in the second movie, even though he does have his violent tendencies. But you really start to feel for the monster. You feel like, man, I want to see people accept him, but it's not going to happen because that mob's got their torches ready and they're just want to take him out. So it's kind of a tragic tale. Um, and the Frankenstein's monster is one of those iconic, like you see him everywhere, like Halloween. And I know this is vastly different from the book. The book, he's a little more mean spirited. There's like parts in it where he has a few moments, but nothing like the film. And Boris Karloff, of course, did a fantastic job portraying those emotions without being able to speak, or, well, limited speak, because, I mean, he talks a little bit in the second one. Um, but yeah, it says on the back of the box, it says, uh, the adaptation of Mary Shelley's novel blended with Karloff's compassionate portrayal of a creature groping for identity that makes Frankenstein a masterpiece, not only in the genre, but for all time. And that kind of speaks to a lot of people, especially younger people who are getting into horror. Um, I know myself for the longest time, like, horror was like kind of an outlet because I didn't feel like I fit in. So, you got these characters that kind of you can sympathize with, which, is the whole point. But here you have just a big old softy. Frankenstein's monster, he ain't so bad. Let me put this back on the shelf. There we go. Next, we have one for the girls, too. We have Carrie. Now, this one is a little more of a tragedy because, I mean, she's such a just look at that face. Look at that face. I can't even say her name. Sissy Spacek. Sorry. Yeah, she comes off as just innocent and like caring. One of the first things you see is in the girl shower room. The girls all berate her because she's having that time of the month for the first time, and she doesn't know what it is because her mom is like super crazy religious, and just doesn't like treat her like an individual. She treats her like just a I don't know, like a child. Um, so Carrie has this really bad upbringing with like overbearing religious mother, um, and she's starting to come into her own at school, and uh, of course there's a dare to take her out and make her become prom queen. Um, and she's naive enough that she falls for it, and you kind of see her, starting to feel more like a person, and all these people around her are just doing terrible things, like treating her terribly or tricking her, and of course in the end that just causes her to snap. um, and you really, I mean, it's cathartic when you see that, her against her mother, but like all the other people that didn't deserve it, you're like, oh, and it's just sad because I'm pretty sure at the end of this one she dies. I mean, there is that little grave jump scare, but yeah. So it's just kind of like, this poor girl. She didn't ask for any of this. She just wanted to be like normal high school kid, and she has these powers that she can't control, and of course they get out of hand because she gets her emotions. They control it. And I think it's a really good movie. Carrie is a very sweet girl, and you root for her. You like, oh, I want to see her make it, but that's the tragedy of it. Uh, Next, we have an interesting one because this is not technically a person per se, but it is an actor. Um, we're talking about the monkey from Monkey Shines. I just did a review of this not too long ago. Um, I'm trying to remember the name of the monkey in the movie. I can't remember right off the top of my head. But yeah, so the monkey is being experimented on. It's like a serum to increase its intelligence. Um, so like right off the get go, this monkey didn't ask to be, stuck in a cage being experimented on. All these other animals as well, but the main monkey in this movie, you get to know her. Basically, the guy in this movie who becomes paraplegic, uh, can't do anything for himself. He has a house nurse to help out, but she's horrible. That lady sucks. um, so his friend says like, "Hey, I'm doing work with animals, and I know this trainer that teaches monkeys to help people like yourself." So when all three of them get together, and then the lady's training the monkey to do things for the guy, you get this nice little sweet montage of the monkey helping him out. The monkey likes music. The monkey hugs him, and it's like, oh, this sweet monkey. But it's a horror movie. It's not gonna last. So basically, his dark inner thoughts end up being linked with this monkey, and the monkey basically enacts these secret desires, whether he actually wants them or not. And of course, they have to, we got to take out the monkey. Um, it's it's pretty sad because you're like, oh, this monkey's pretty cute, pretty nice, and then it goes a little crazy. Um, you could say it's part of the experiment's fault. I would definitely say it's part of the experiment's fault. Um, and it's kind of funny near the end when the guy's like berating the monkey and calling it names, and the monkey's just like doing all these things to keep him trapped. So the monkey still is a little likable, even though it is doing these horrible things. But that first half really sets you up to be like, oh, I like this monkey. And then when the monkey gets killed, you're like, oh no, it was bound to happen, but it still doesn't make it any more dang, that sucks. And I was really, really enjoying those scenes. I was like, oh, I wish this wasn't a horror movie. It could just be a family film, but it's George Romero, so good luck. But yeah, I think this was a good one. Next up, we have one of the most famous sympathetic characters, especially in this film, which, let me fix this, because this box is all screwed up. Okay, there we go. We have Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates in Psycho 2. Specifically, Psycho 2. Not to say that he doesn't have moments in the other films, but in this one, this is years after the first movie. He's been in a mental institution and he's been released, and they're saying, you know what, hey, you've had your treatment, we're going to release you back into society. He gets a job at a diner, and, he's just this quiet, nice guy, and he ends up becoming friends with one of the waitresses at the diner, and I can't remember exactly what happens, but, she basically ends up needing a place to stay, so he's like, hey, I think either he offers or she kind of like puts the offer. This boxes suck. Sorry, this is like... but yeah, she ends up going to stay with him, and you start seeing those cracks in his personality slipping through. But you're like, he's a different guy. I think there's even a point where he has a confrontation at the diner with another person, and you think, oh no, this is it, he's gonna snap, and he doesn't. And as the film goes on, spoiler alert if you have not seen the film, you find out that the woman who's staying with him is the daughter of the sister. So confusing, I know. Of the first victim in the first movie, the one with the infamous shower scene. Yeah, so she's her sister, and she sends her daughter there because she wants to, like, I guess, get her daughter fucking murdered or something. Prove that he's still crazy. And boy, do they prove it. But, at what cost? But I will say, you really... The first half of the movie, he's, like, pretty tame, and you, like, really get to know and like him as a character. You start to see that he's had this sad upbringing where he's kind of been under his mother's shadow his whole life. So it's refreshing to see him, like, kind of happy for once. I mean, granted, he did spy on the girl in the shower. That's a little creepy. But you're like, hey, this guy's got a lot of problems, but you kind of really feel bad for him. You want to help him. You even get the sense that the girl, even though she's doing this to help her mother, that she ends up liking him and wanting to help him too. But of course that doesn't work out, and Norman does what Norman does, as they say. But I think this is a fantastic movie. One of Anthony Perkins' best films. And yeah, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Psycho 2 or 3 or 4. He's the one who decided that, we need to get this character out of retirement and, bring this guy back. Last but not least, we're talking about Maniac. Not the original, though. The original does have its moments, but I'm specifically talking about the Elijah Wood starred remake. Like I said, there's moments in the original, but in this one, I think it's a little more, excuse the pun, cut and dry. Now, of course, we see him do these horrible things. He's scalping women, he's choking them. He clearly has, some problems, and you find out about those problems later. But then he meets Anna, I think it's Anna. And yeah, you start to get the idea that, oh, maybe she can save him. Maybe he's going to turn out normal. But incel tragedy, of course, he finds out that she's got a boyfriend. But, you kind of trick yourself into forgetting that he's done these horrible things. And you're like, oh, well, like, these two are very nice together. But then, of course, he has his little migraines, and he starts thinking about seeing his mother. I guess she was a prostitute or just horny all the time. committing these acts like right in front of her young son, which that's terrible, disgusting, and it definitely gave him some issues with his mother. I mean, later we see in the film the lady who's helping Anna with her art gallery. Uh, he follows her home and ties her up on her bed, and he's like crying and hugging her like it's mom. And he's like, "You're staying in tonight," and he rips her head, like her hair, right off her scalp. It's it's insane. Um, and then of course things begin to crumble when later on he's talking to Anna and he lets it slip like some detail that alerts her to like, how do you know this person? How do you know about this? I didn't tell you any of this. And of course that's when the veil is dropped. And sadly, he's like, hey, I don't want to hurt you, but of course he ends up, back in his place and letting his demons tear him apart. But yeah, I think this is a good tragic character. He's got a bit of that violent side. I mean, a lot of that violent side. That makes it a little hard to sympathize with him, but I still do find his character a little likable. Especially those moments with Anna. I mean, obviously, those are the moments I can't be like, oh yeah, stalk that lady. Um, so yeah, those were my top 5 sympathetic characters. What do you guys think? Do you have any characters that you think are way better that you're like, what? And it can be from a movie, it can be from a horror TV show, it can even be from a book. Let me know down below because I love stories with characters that you kind of get invested in that are deeper than just, giving you a body count. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.